Well, like many things in life, writing about war was kind of an accident. I had begun writing and producing books about history, and I was particularly keen on Canadian history for young people because, there weren't as many books on that as I think there should be. And then Scholastic, whom I publish a number of books with, said to me that there is now a demand for books about World War I and World War II in schools. And I was kind of shocked and surprised at that because in my earlier career as a publisher, you could not do books about war for kids. It was just simply a taboo subject. And I thought, well, if that's all changing, I would love to write about war, particularly Canadians in war, because there's nothing about that. And Canadians don't know about what their soldiers or what our soldiers did in the Great Wars. I read a survey in a newspaper when the 60th anniversary of D-Day was coming up, and they asked Canadians, do you know what Juno Beach was? Well, nobody did. And then, only a few even knew what D-Day was. So I thought, well, we'd better do something about that. So that's why I started writing about war for kids. Well, I hope it'll illuminate our history for them because, the two wars of the 20th century still affect us today, and it's pretty hard to understand the world we live in without understanding what happened during that period. And for instance, children need to learn about the Holocaust. How can you understand the Holocaust unless you know who Hitler was and what World War II was all about? And World War II leads you to World War I. So it's a very major piece of our history. And during those wars, Canada really came into its own as an independent country. So it plays a huge role in our past. Oh, I think it's telling stories of people who were there and having characters. Even in nonfiction books, I like to have real-life people who were there telling their stories that the reader can relate to and engage with. That, to me, is hugely important because I think young readers, boys especially, put themselves in the place of people who were there. Girls, too. Imagine if they were a nurse or if their boyfriend was at the front, what would it be like? So I think you have to put it in a context of real-life stories and real-life experiences that they can relate to. Yes, I do, and I speak a lot in schools, talk a lot in schools, and they don't study war very much until high school, but they do have studies around Remembrance Day every year. They learn about war during the period around Remembrance Day, which is why I think it's so important that commemoration is maintained. So yes, there are many ways the books can be used in classrooms to teach students about war. We have some very good books, and I always read all the adult books and all the basic histories first. Tim Cook is a wonderful historian, and he's written a 2-volume history of Canadians in World War I that is excellent and is actually accessible and very readable even for a younger person. So I recommend his books very highly. We have people like Jack Granatstein and Desmond Morton and Jonathan Vance. I mean, there's quite a number of very good war historians in this country, and I feel that I stand on their shoulders because I start by reading their books and then go further, or at least make their stories accessible for younger people.